Welcome back to another episode of Aboutcast. Holy cow, man. We're on a high right now after watching the fifth Attack on Titan episode, the Warhammer. So we're not even going to take the time to kind of talk about this one because if you already know about this, you know how we get down. An episode review, super, super crazy this time around. Chris, how are you doing, man?
Doing fantastic. Oh my gosh. That episode was so crazy. Super excited to talk to you about it. I know you and I haven't been able to really talk about it in depth yet, but I'm glad we get to do it on here.
Yes, dude. Yes. I'm riding that high too right now. And I think that there probably is going to be a good overlay of information and notes that we've both taken. So I'm super excited to get into this. But anyway, sequentially, what we start off with is an interesting play of kind of seeing a little jump back of what Willie's day looked like right before he kind of took the stage. So him saying goodbye to his family and him having a trip down to the place with Commander Magath. And super interesting. I don't know if you picked this up, but I was shocked by how much they expected the attack to happen. Were you surprised by that, or was it just me?
No, I was definitely surprised about that too. I mean, it does kind of make sense, like given I guess like the level of
Circumstances.
yeah of stuff going on, but not to that. I guess to that extent, how much they were expecting it.
Yeah, very much so. And it was also a highlight of how I guess how tactical and how just cold they were with lives. And maybe this was just kind of looking past the human death for the ultimate benefit of Marley. But the way that they were saying, all right, so this is where we're going to put certain people so that they can all get smoked out, and just saying like basically eliminating the the rats in the system themselves, and also positioning people of influence right in the middle to get wrecked the hardest. I found
Mhm.
that like crazy. Like, damn, these homies are cold blooded. And like Magath said, I mean, one, the Eludines are devils, but we're seeing like Marley and devilism perfectly in this shot as well, and the union of them shaking their hands. Was there anything else you picked up from there, or was it just kind of hammering home the same points of, dude, this is cold and calculated?
Yeah, definitely cold and calculated. Like it's insane how far they're willing to take things, just to make a point that like the Eldians are the evil ones and not us. I did think it was really cool to see Magath in a different way, because I feel like we've kind of seen him as just this military commander who is just leading the Marleyan army to try and get or to leading the Marlin army to just try and get a victory. And it was kind of nice to see that like he actually does kind of have a soft spot for the Eldians in a way. Just by saying like I wrote it down. There's no doubt that the Eldians are the spawn of the devil, and there's no doubt that we are devils ourselves too. So like that just kind of shows that like he understands like what they're doing, and understands like the level of what they're doing as well, and like how much or I guess just how awful it is in my eyes. That's how I saw it.
You make a really, really good point where we've been seeing bits and pieces of Magath's humanity in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the first thing we saw of him was this cold dude who's telling Eludians to basically be bullet sponges and stuff like that, it's really cool to see the complexity. And I guess they're treating him like everybody else in this universe as far as this final season goes, where we get to see kind of the onion layers of them as a person. They're actually, when I was thinking about it, I think that we learned a lot more than that. When I'm looking over at my notes, we actually find that obviously they know that there's a tons of spies in Marley themselves and infiltrated into the society. One thing that I found interesting is that I kind of got implicitly the information that it's, of course, not only Paradis who are spies in this thing, but it's other
Mm-hmm.
countries who have infiltrated into the society themselves. Which I'm thinking, wow, that makes total sense again. But I wonder what these other countries are looking for in Marley. Maybe weaknesses, maybe, you know, just kind of old fashioned like spy war stuff. But I found that really cool.
Yeah, you can't forget that Marley has been kind of this global superpower for what, like past 9 years or so, or something like that. So it does
Mm.
definitely make sense that they do have some sort of enemy who wants them taken down. Then it also reminds me of that one lady in the last episode with the kimono. I always forget her name, but that kind of I feel like that kind of gives us some clarity on our theory that she might be working with the guys in Paradise.
Yeah, man. The deep state intercolluding of countries. And you
Hmm.
know, I think that the way that this is going about is I mean, it could open up that avenue perfectly. The other thing that I know to be really, it actually took me off guard, just kind of a subtlety, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, but the the thing that the commander said was saying that this is different than war. And the reason that he was saying that is because, and I found this like really detached in a sense, but he was saying that he doesn't know what the people on Paradis want or even how they're going to attack and what intel did they, like, you know. So essentially what he's saying is, what intel do they have on them? Nothing.
Hmm.
So they don't know their intention. You could imagine that they went over there and wrecked a whole bunch of stuff, and that I was wondering about an intention. And of course, if there's spies in there that they know, then he can't, like, you know, I don't think it's, you know, I think it's okay to call him myopic in the sense of, you know, you should understand that the main intention is probably revenge, and then, you know, positioning themselves to attack quicker than you are, and you know, get out of the way of the kind of the slamming blow of having Marley attack when they're all situated again. And it seems like that is really detached of him, and maybe that also means that Reiner wasn't being as truthful, or Zeke, or like, where's this coming from? I feel like he's probably one of the more competent people in the military, but I feel like that's a huge oversight, and maybe just kind of a lapse in the writing of the Attack on Titan team who are actually writing in real life. Or am I missing something? Is there details that could give him the benefit of the doubt here?
Dude, I don't know. I am full agreement with you on everything that you said. I guess it just could be anything. My best guess would just kind of be maybe a lapse in the writing, like you said.
Yeah, just one of those small ones, and I found that, well, yeah, maybe it is one of those things, or maybe it's just kind of like leading up to such a suspenseful thing of like, how are they going to attack, and they make it makes
Mhm.
you think. Of course, we know that Eren's there, and he blows up into a Titan due to the last episode, but it's like, you know, what else is there going to be?
Yeah. Also, or I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit in the episode, but it kind of seemed like he was surprised to see that Aaron was there.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
when Aaron showed up, he's like, "Oh, like it's Aaron Yeager. He's the one who came over." So that I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. But dude, I think that's actually a really good time to kind of push forward on the scene. And now, after the handshake, we have all the action. Aaron swallows up Willie, which we have confirmation of, and now I think Aaron looks like a monster, dude. Like with that
Yeah,
one wide eye and the green eye, and
yeah,
that kind of menacing growl. He means business.
yeah. I thought it was so cool the way that they like kind of started that next scene where they had the handshake and like as they were kind of panning back away from the handshake, you heard Aaron's roar.
Yeah,
And
dude.
then the next thing you see is like Aaron's eyes and his face and oh, it was just so awesome to see. And like, yeah, like you said, he does look like an absolute monster.
I That's one thing that we can pick up, and like, if you're listening and have been following along, like, fully anticipate, we've been mentioning this before, especially in the last episode where they did this with the audio and scenes and not so much like noises, but or dialogue, sorry, not audio. But these guys love to, and this might be the animation team or the director of how this is going about, but they love to like pair scenes and audio that don't match up perfectly, so it's almost like the audio is leading the scene in a lot of ways. And I think that also is a nod to like how great of a soundtrack this is and how much it
Mhm.
matches the mood and stuff. But good pick up on that. And yeah, this homie's straight for business. And the first thing he does after swallows up Willie is and scares the living crap out of all the fans or the crowd. He goes straight for like the military like stand and just like almost belly flops onto those suckers
Yeah.
and like takes out like knowingly saying like I'm going to cripple your army to stop this from, and take my revenge, of course, too.
Hmm. Yeah. Homie like went like full body slam on him. That's what it looked like to me.
Hmm. Yeah, he got that TM. Dude, I think in the Pokemon games, man, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you get that from the SS Anne in like the first gens. So he popped
Man.
that, dude. Yeah, classics, man. Classic
You're,
games
you're
right there.
just digging from the depths of all awesomeness right now.
Bruh, honestly, this episode, I mean, we obviously had like a slight um dialogue through message before like coordinating for this, but man, I was so excited for this episode, just like awakening just like nerddom in me
Mhm,
that
mhm.
I can't help but get involved. And dude, here's another thing too. I guess we can talk about this a little later when I'll save this for later, but I had a cool idea of a potential scene or a couple minutes worth um of episode that they could do next. But anyway, pushing along, and I'll just keep that on a footnote for us to talk about later. But essentially, what we have next is we have obviously a lot of civilian casualties, and then we see that the Warhammer was Willie's sister, which was the woman that we saw on the side of the scene, like in the foreground when they were panning at Willie. If you guys want to go to episode 4 again, you'll see her when Willie's doing his speech. And then we mentioned it in this last podcast that we did on episode 4. But she obviously gets busy, unlocks the Warhammer Titan. And Chris, what was your first, I, you know, I guess what was your first impression of seeing the Warhammer Titan? Hearing all about this thing. And of course, Eren also gets the jump on it. But what were you feeling or what were you kind of sensing once you saw that happen?
First, I was like, wow, this because like Aaron, like you said, Aaron got the jump on him and just started pounding on them. And my first thought was like, it can't be like this weak. Like, what is going on? And then kind of jumping ahead, you see Aaron just get pierced by this spear thing. I don't know what you would even call that. But then I was like, oh, this is this is about to get crazy. But yeah, like everything that I was feeling was just excitement and just pure like curiosity about like what was going to happen next. And there's so many things were running through my head, like different scenarios and stuff like that. But yeah, just pure joy watching this entire fight.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that it was like number one, we haven't seen like Titan on Titan action for a while. So, it was long overdue. And not knowing what this Warhammer is about too, we wanted to see that. Seeing Aaron's new, like let's say he got like a new skill set and anything like that. Everything was like so longly anticipated for this. So I was feeling the same. And yeah, so like what we have is essentially Aaron's just like doing some ground and pound. If I can do another like nerd shout out, it's like the down B on Donkey Kong
Super
and Super
Smash.
Smash. Yeah. um and then he gets like impaled by this. It sounds like it's going to sound like a really silly sentence that I'm going to say, but it truly is like this. It's a spiky spike. It's a spike with spikes on the sides of the spike. And this is crazy because there was it was almost like the advantage totally switched. And I guess during that scene too, like you mentioned before, the commander was kind of just shocked to see Eren there, and he did this really kind of masturbatory thing where he like the guys, his constituents and insubordinate or like subordinates were saying, hey, what are we doing, commander? Like all of these things are happening, like what's the next order of business? And he was just staring, and then he shot obviously the most useless shot ever of his rifle at Aaron. and I think it was just to say, "Hey, I was the first one to shoot." Um, pretty lame. So I'm thinking that either the commander is might be kind of a peacetime commander in a sense where,
Mm.
when the pressure is up, he starts kind of being a little weird or funny, or um, maybe it's also the thing that the kind of the ruler of the country just got eaten in front of his face. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but it seemed like the homie was dropping the ball as far as being a commander in that moment. But I guess he didn't have to because the War Titan was doing work.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was weird too. I like now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if it was kind of like him trying to like hype up his squad around him, being like, I don't know, like
Mm.
we got this. I mean, but like at the same time, you see him shoot that, and they definitely don't got this. So
Yeah.
it's like, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, seriously, man. And it's kind of ridiculous that they brought rifles out in the
Mhm.
first place, like to set up. Just off the fact of they know that they're going to be fighting Titans, probably being that that place has a couple of their Titans, and they're the same population that can turn into them. Um, but once again, maybe this is just kind of the Three Stooges of the Marleyan military. But anyway, back to the action. We're seeing like kind of the War Titans or the Warhammer Titans powers, and also at the same time, I guess we have a couple side things going on that I think is really smart to mention here. Gabby and you know Gabby and Colt are together, and Zophie gets taken out by a boulder. Uh, Udo gets trampled, and a few other people die that Gabby knows and in front of her. And I guess Udo's not technically dead, but she's incensed by all that death. Pike and Poke actually find their way out of the pit just off of pure intellect by Pike. And at the same time, the Warhammer Titan, we're seeing the ability of kind of this materialization of objects. And not only is it like, you know, the like swords, the spike, crossbows, a mallet, all of that stuff. What do you think, Chris? I was curious and I wanted to hear your opinion, but what do you think would be the gnarliest thing that you think that Warhammer could conjure up?
Oh my gosh. Oh, good question. I don't like. I feel like they can make absolutely anything that they wanted.
Yeah,
So I guess it's up to their imagination.
but let's say you were calling the shots. Let's say you had the Hammer
Oh,
Titan.
jeez.
What are you making? Like if you're fighting an Aaron Yeager at this point.
Oh gosh. If I'm fighting Aaron, I don't know. I'm making a lightsaber, dude. If I'm going full nerdiness right now, I'm making a lightsaber. I don't care if it doesn't function the same as a lightsaber, but I'm making a lightsaber.
Just off of the menacing factor, I think you'd have the edge just off of pure intimidation. I think
What about you?
that's a dude. I don't see. This is the thing, man. I don't like my questions asked back to me because then I have to think. But if I had to think about what I would use, I think that I would use a net. I'd create a net with spikes on it to just stop him from moving. Number one, because he's an active little homie, and then I could use the mallet from there.
Mm,
That's what I think I would do.
I like the net idea. That's a great idea.
And to be fair, though, I got it because secretly the Warhammer Titan also put spikes into the ground.
Hmm.
So I was thinking, dude, that's actually extraordinarily smart, being that seems like Aaron's more like mobile than it. So that would be pretty interesting. But dude, this thing is a menace, and no wonder they call it the Warhammer. But another thing that I picked up too is it looks like a male Titan, even though it's a Willie's sister that is in it. So it doesn't look like Annie's attack Titan. And then a small point too. I don't know if you picked this up, but I'm sure you did. The as the spiked mallet was going through Aaron's like hands and forearms and just eviscerating him, like they vaporize. You can't even, they don't exist anymore. Um, I picked up that one of the soldiers called Aaron the Attack Titan. Did you pick that up too?
Yeah, I did. What was what are your thoughts on that?
I'm thinking that it's just like this homie didn't read the scouting report or something. Um, but also, I mean, he does have like hardened hands, but still, I just thought it was like, what's going on here? Um,
Yeah.
you know, and maybe a little nitpicky, but I just found that like, almost like stuck out too
Mm.
much to not, you know, kind of be like, wait, what the hell? But
Yeah.
anyway, so dude, it's getting real spicy here. And then, one of the main girls shows up, bro, and so you could take it from there, dog. What
Oh
pops
man.
off?
Yeah. So Aaron absolutely gets destroyed. And then you hear the sound that I have been waiting for this entire season, and that's the sound of the ODM gear. Oh my gosh. It was crazy. And the one and only Mikasa shows up. And uh like during that fight, the Warhammer Titan, she says, or is it Ursper? Aaron Yeager, do you have any last words? And his last words are now or never, Mikasa. And she pops up and just comes in and does everything that you would expect her to do. How'd you feel about that entire that scene?
You know what, man? There strongly could have been a little pre-ejaculate when I heard that ODM gear wind up. Dude, it was so sick. I was so excited. Um, and Mikasa flies in there and she blows the back out of the Warhammer Titan and it falls down. And dude, off the back of just something that is so cool and so actionable. And number one, Mikasa is looking battle hardened.
Mhm.
Um, and dude, you know what, man? I gotta say it. She's looking like a man with that short hair. She's
Yeah.
looking like a no nonsense. Yeah, yeah, seriously. Like I'd rather fight Coney than her. With when she has the short hair. She's obviously way mature, but the thing that I found is like they stack really high action moments sometimes with like really, really rich scenes that you can learn a lot from. But this is a perfect example of it. And it says a lot. There was just a brief interaction between Eren and Mikasa. And it was essentially it implied Mikasa said, Eren, like, come home. So like, just stop this. And so essentially, I think what it does is it kind of validates a little bit of our theory that Aaron might have kind of gone possibly rogue or forced the
Mhm.
hand of Paradis to come over here and do the things he did, which I find crazy, man.
Yeah. I definitely caught that too. He also said, yeah, he also said you guys actually came. Like, I think that was a
Yeah,
sentence
dude.
that he said. And it makes me wonder, like, was there a rift between the scouts and Aaron, like in the 4 year time frame that we don't see him?
So I do. There's a few things that I think about that, and it could possibly lead into this. Number one, I definitely believe that Aaron was, going deep into the game to be where he's at, right? Because to actually like infiltrate that place, he would have had to do it with like in the middle of that 4 year war that they
Mhm.
had with that other country. And also, you got to think, dude, like the coordination of the actual mission, like it seemed like it perfectly worked, right? So Aaron knew to call in Reiner to that place at that right exact time. And then also Armin took those guys out. So I'm thinking there was some coordination. But at the same time, dude, I'm thinking that to have everyone in the same place would be bad. And
Mhm.
also, it's like, how is Aaron getting his messages? So he sends out mail, but it's like, does he ever get mail?
Oh,
Um,
good question.
so I'm thinking that possibly it could be one of those things where it's like maybe it was just like timing. Like he was
Mhm.
like, dude, I'm thinking there's probably going to be a couple minute gap in between where they're coming. I'm getting my butt kicked right now. But dude, I also thought though at first glance, like you did, I'm sure it's like, dude, was he just going hard in the paint without anybody as backup? And then he just kind of called out Mikasa as in I'm dead.
Mm,
Um, I mean, it
yeah.
seems something that reckless Aaron would do, but at
I
the
was about
same
to say
time,
that
dude.
typical Aaron thing to do.
hmm But at the same time, I hope that it was coordinated because it seems very. We later find out that there's like some really interesting, like coordination going on, and of course, with all this spy talk, you got to believe, and we've seen Gene there, so I'm imagining that there was some coordination in between there, and it was just like, a matter of seconds that they were off. But who knows, man? Hopefully we find out. And dude, this is exactly okay. So I'm going to revisit this point that I said. But now that we know that the scouts are there, which is so hyped, I would love to see. And I'm not sure. I don't think you've seen this series yet, Chris. But we've talked about it. There's a scene in Hunter x Hunter where um, there's the timing of like people getting ready for the biggest like move ever on like the most hyped arc, the Chimera Ant arc. And so gonna try not to ruin it for you because I definitely want you to see this anime. But dude, it is so cool to see like it's like they're preparing for war, and it's like so well narrated and stuff. And obviously, it's Attack on Titan is Attack on Titan, and I don't want it to be like Hunter x Hunter, but I would love to see the scouts prepare for this thing and
Mm,
like plan it out too on the other side, because I feel like it would be um, really exciting to see the interplay of stuff, and of course do
yeah.
it later on in the series or the season where nothing is going to be kind of like a ruined surprise or
Mm,
unduly. But that's all I was thinking. It was like I would love to see like the preparation for the scouts. Like where were they hiding? Where did they keep their gear? How would
yeah.
they do all this stuff? That would be cool.
Kind of like a flashback episode, maybe. Just kind of seeing
Yeah, man.
how everything went down. That would be really cool.
Yeah, or just like the Willie and the commander scene, like on their way over, they talk
Yeah.
about kind of like what's possibly going to happen. But obviously a little bit more rich, but dude, I would even take that, and I think it would be super cool to see.
Mm, I agree.
But further going on now, we have the scouts show up, and dude, all right, so this is another small thing, man. Tell me if I'm being nitpicky here, but we also see that the commander got blew up on the rooftop when the scouts came, and then he magically appeared in a building not too long after that without a scratch on him. Did you notice that as well?
I did. Yeah. I didn't- did he like throw someone's body in front of him so he didn't get blown up or something? Like, how does that happen? But I'm wondering also, like the people he was with the second time we seen him. I wonder if like they were survivors of the same thing or not.
Gotcha. Well, I just think like if there was an explosion, you'd be kind of roughed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't seem that way. And then finally, in that building, somebody threw a grenade in there, which is cool to know that they have grenades. So it's like, dude, oh yeah. So there's a whole bunch of tech, dude, that I wanted to talk about.
Hmm.
Um, and talking about the ODM gear, man, have you noticed that it was extraordinarily different? Like,
Yeah.
way far away different.
Yeah. They so that gear that they were using, I think we first saw Kenny and his squad of people using that. I don't know if it was the exact same thing, but Kenny definitely had the ones where they're shooting the hooks out of their hands, or not out of their hands, but like with the weapons in their hands.
Mm, gotcha. So yeah, that's exactly what I was picking up on, and it seems so interesting too, where they place the ODM gear, and maybe it is just to like be better at fighting humans, but it's like right behind the back of the neck.
Mhm.
Um, but I found that that would be like kind of like technically, or like physics would just kind of not like that. Number one, you're taking, you know, the center of gravity weight further away from the center of gravity, which makes things unstable.
Mhm.
Um, you know, another thing too is of course the motor is loud, so you might not be able to hear other people coming, or people talking, and then it seems like it'd be hard to remove from back there. But dude, obviously, you know they've you know they've thought about this, and I'm sure I'm missing something, but I just found it weird. But also, of course, we know that they have the original stuff, um
Yeah.
because somebody close to our hearts comes through. And dude, so we kind of see everybody though, or see the cool people. So we see Sasha, we see Connie, we have this new guy, Flock. But who are you like so surprised? I guess did anybody mature in a way where you're like, oh, I didn't see that, didn't think that they would look like that.
The only person that I thought looked like a lot different from their, I guess, their past self in a way is just Gene. But Flock is someone we've met before. Did you know that?
No, dude. Okay,
Yeah,
holy cow.
I
I
got
did not
something
know
deep for
this.
you, dude. I got something deep.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm hyped.
so you know the previous season where um, Zeke and Reiner and like the Cart Titan, they were all over on Parodies. And you know
Bro.
how when Irwin was hyping the squad up to basically sacrifice themselves,
Yeah. There
Flock
was
was the
that
only.
homie.
Yeah,
No way.
that's
Oh,
him.
snap. Dude,
Yeah,
that's
and I
dude.
think like what he was saying to Gene in that like little sequence, like it makes it so much more powerful because of like what he's seen and what he's been through. Like no one else has been through that because he was the sole survivor of everything that happened.
Dude, that is such a good call, man. That is actually really strong play just off of the memory game of that one. I was thinking that Flock was kind of like this new generation of Scout, and I kind of put it in the head of like, it shows kind of the generations of the Paradis people, like what they think about what's going
Mhm.
on. Um, but dude, that even makes it more. Yeah, you're exactly right. It makes it more powerful knowing that he literally like had the commander of the scout regime die in his hands, or not in his hands, but saw the most horrific thing, rode head on to his death. And yeah, I now see why he's like as hot headed and ready to
Yeah.
get after it as he is in that thing. It's pretty
Yeah.
interesting to see.
I think also that interaction kind of gives more evidence that there might have been some type of rift between Aaron and the scouts. Because like
Mm,
in that he said like Aaron's telling us something and then it kind of pauses for a second and says to fight. And he said we shouldn't just wait for our deaths in the walls. We need like what we need is a devil like him. And so like I don't know, it just like after I heard that, it just made me think even more that there has to be something going on between Aaron and the rest of them that like separated them and like their ideals don't
mhm.
match.
Dude, that's actually a really, really strong read into that, and I really like that idea. Just off of the communication of words, that makes total sense because it's like if they were all on the same team, then Aaron would be exactly the same character, or fit into the same character as all of them would. But it's
Mhm.
like a highlighting of him being more so, or even more radical than what they feel like they should be, and I'm sure we'll see more of that come in the in the coming episodes, but really good pick out on that one for sure.
Thanks, dude.
One thing, dude, yeah, man, have to give you props, homie. One thing though that I found, and maybe this is just me wanting to be kind of like make a stupid pun, but dude, Sasha of all people, ironically to me, was looking the most like a snack. And maybe it was because she was eating all the snacks, but um, she definitely got older in good ways. And the Coney, just for you guys who are listening to this, all they did for that homie was they gave him sideburns, so they didn't really do anything for him.
Yeah, and just made him a
Um,
little bit taller too.
yeah, that's it. The really, really, you know, used used the time saver on him, but essentially what we have is during through this fight scene is also here's another part of the coordination to kind of help my idea as far as like this was actually quite measured, was they were number one, they're extraordinarily skilled at shooting people. Like it was like two shots, and one was like a hit to the mass part of the body, and then one was a hit into the head, and I think that was Coney and Sasha doing it with the rifles that were on Marley, I believe. And then also they were putting the lights on top of the buildings. If you had to guess, what do you think they would need those for?
Hmm. This is gonna sound crazy, but they're sending Armin in and just blowing up the entire place.
You think so, dude? Dude, I like that type of crazy. That was actually a
Wouldn't that
really
be
cool
nuts
idea.
if they
That would
pulled?
be so crazy.
Oh man, it's a really big stretch, and it's just like the stretch that I had last episode where we won't talk about it. But yeah, it'd be super cool to see Armin like get launched in somehow and just blow the entire place up like Berthold did.
Just nuke it,
Yeah.
essentially. Just like no. The only thing though, I would love that idea to be true, But the only thing that I could think being not so much of that is the civilian casualties that Mikasa was really bothered about.
Hmm.
And also Gene. I think he was pretty bothered about that too. I and even on the fact that they didn't shoot Gabby, who was in front of them as well.
Yeah.
I think that might kind of push that idea away, but I could always see that as kind of, that'd be so sick though. That'd be really cool, and then that would
Yeah,
kind of take
maybe
care
it
of.
was if it was some kind of like last resort thing, like maybe
Yeah,
their plan didn't go as well as they thought, and Armin just needs to come in and clean some stuff up a bit.
yeah, bro. Just kind of like that monster. Yeah, like you did. I think you're probably better at, you're more involved in baseball than I am. But he seems like you would be that just gnarly, juiced out homie that's fucking cleanup. Like the fourth batter, just the
Just
nasty
hitting that
mother.
grand slam.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, dude. Just sending it home. No matter how messy the field looks or like, who's on what base, he's just cranking it always. I
Yeah,
think that's what Armin has to be as the Colossal Titan.
I agree.
But anyway, so we have, the Warhammer and Eren fighting, and Mikasa's kind of like doing her thing. And I think this is actually really cool to see that this is a total Armin thing that Eren pulls, but he actually is like observing the Warhammer Titan and notices that the actual person isn't in the nape of the neck, but like hiding underground. And you know, w- I think that's also like a perfect illustration of character development, where it's like Aaron's been so heavy to like rush into things, and even in this episode, though, even though he's like, dude, I'm here, I'm ready to make everybody pay, he'll like take a step back to problem solve, which I thought was so, so sick to see. And then it was a whole new idea of seeing the that people can actually like almost transmit their Titan from other places. It's almost like a work from home situation for the pandemic.
Oh man. Yeah, I thought it was really cool too. But do you think that's a like a specific power of the Warhammer Titan?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I really wouldn't. Um, and so I'm not expecting like people to start like using that, but I thought it was like pretty interesting to see.
Yeah.
And then of course, once Aaron gets her and like he's like, all right, let me snack on this little thing. Um, it's so sick to see that like just like a back shot of the Jaw Titan, so Poke. And like we mentioned before earlier, they got out pretty early. Just as the Warhammer and Aaron were fighting,
Mhm.
just starting to fight, they got out. And so we see the Jaw like right behind and swoops in, dude. So what was your take on this scene when you saw, the Jaw like freaking jump from the back to Aaron's neck, and dude, literally his jaw was over Aaron, and he was like, dude, so hyped. He's like, dude, I'm gonna bite the shit out of Aaron, and I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get. Maybe he didn't say that, I did, but he essentially was like super super excited, and it was like a lock, dude. It was a slam dunk. All he had to do was bite the nape of the neck, and he was done. Were you going through thinking like, dude, it's a wrap, or watching that for the first time, what was your thoughts?
Dude, my heart like stopped. I was just like, this it can't end like this. But like at the same time,
Mhm.
I wouldn't put it past the creators to do something like this because they've done it several times before and killed off so many important people.
Yeah,
And I was just like,
seriously.
where do they go from here? And then can I say what happens next?
Dude, you to be my guest.
Oh my gosh. So
The big
your
fella.
boy Gilliard thinks he has it unlocked, like Jordan said. But then the one and only Levi Ackerman comes and saves the day, slicing Gilliard's jaw so he can't bite down.
So thug.
And
So
yeah,
thug.
yeah, what are you feeling at this point?
Dog. Dog, I missed this, but right in the scene right before that, did you know that they showed Levi from the back?
No.
Dude, so this is it. So this is how I knew that I was rewatching it, and yeah, they show him for like a split second. And then he comes in, dude, and I was so hyped to see it. I was so hyped to see it.
Where was
Um,
he?
so literally, if you go back and watch it, right before he bites Aaron's neck, there's one scene before it happens, and I think it might even be less than a second long. But you literally see like a camera pan type of shot, and then
Mhm.
you see the OG ODM gear, and it's Levi who's using it. And so
Jeez.
he's almost like standing up, like standing in the back, watching it all happen, like a real gangster, as we all know that Levi would be doing. And then he comes in, dude, and it's so sick to
Yeah.
see. Dude, I was so hyped to see my boy Levi. Holy cow.
Yeah. I was home alone watching this at this point, and I was like, "It's Levi!" Like, I was
Yeah.
screaming, like, "Oh my gosh." But it was so cool to see how, like, Gilliard knew, like, right off the bat, like, who he
Mhm.
was. You're like, "Oh, is that Ackerman?" Like, and then, like, you see the soldiers too. They all noticed that it was Levi. And it's just like Levi is this feared being among those Marlians. It's just really cool to see like his, I guess, just his status among everyone over there on that over there in Marley.
100%, dude. And you know what that means too? It's like Zeke and Reiner, and I guess Pike in a way, but they literally were like, dude, like they talked about Levi so much or had to explain to them so much about Levi that they knew him from look without even seeing him.
Mhm.
I thought
And
that
just
was
like the
sick,
way
dude.
he was fighting, they knew
Dude,
like right
yes.
off the bat. And
Yeah, it's
also
like
what I thought was cool when you first see the scouts, like they're like, "Oh no, it's them." Like
mhm.
it's those guys. Like it was really cool to see that too. Like the fear, the absolute fear that they like struck within them was cool to see.
Dude, yeah. It's like it's so I've really loved the idea of like how fierce the scout troop is. And I know
Mhm.
it's from attrition and just like having the most brutal lifestyle as warriors, but they are I think they have to be like some of the most feared and skilled like warriors in the universe. Well, I'm sure they are, being that this is about them, that they have so much screen time, but it's like, dude, they are literally like even the sound of them to like a
Mhm.
vet titans like Pike, the cart titan. She was like, dude, no.
Yeah,
Like
like
this is
this
horror.
can't be.
Yeah. Yes. So crazy, man. It's so
Yeah.
exciting too. It makes it so much cooler.
Yeah, did you notice, Gillard, like, what he was saying, like, as he was getting taken down? Like, he was saying, like, "Can't you see I'm a Titan? Like, why aren't you afraid of me?" And then, like, he realizes who they are, and he's like, "Oh, shoot. I'm done." And then, like, the
Yeah,
scene is
bro.
it's over.
Yeah, dude. I loved it too because it's like he realized and to see like this massive swarm of them,
Mhm.
like it's like, oh, dude.
And the sound of the ODM gear, man, it gets me.
Uh-huh. Dude, it's so sick. But here's one thing though that I have to say. So we know that if the Jaw Titan's there, to be honest, I know that it's gonna be like I'm sure that he's gonna get saved or something. He shouldn't, but the only thing I could think saving him is like I don't know we don't know what they've done with Zeke, and we also know that the cart Titan's not too far off. But to be
Mhm.
honest, I can't see the only Titan that I could see helping is Zeke at this point. And it's just if he's throwing things, but he's gonna have to accept killing so many other people.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, they're unstoppable in the city. They're
Yeah.
almost unstoppable.
And there's also the potential of him killing Gilliard, Pike,
Yeah.
Reiner, everyone. So like he's kind of like in a tough spot being so far away.
Dude, yeah. That's a really good point too, man. It's like how are these Titans going to like play and fight with their special abilities and different things against it? You know what, maybe I'll give it some credit. The cart Titan with the machine guns on top that she carries people to like shoot. That could
Mhm.
be the only thing I could see possibly being a thing, but it's like maybe I just think that the scouts are just too OP. They're
Yeah,
just so good.
and you even see when, Pike tells them to, like, go get prepared, like, they said that it would take, like, 10 to 15 minutes to be fully ready to go.
Mhm.
I feel like that's way too much time
Dog, yeah, it's too much time. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
because
Like, there's no
yeah,
way.
he's getting closed in on already. But like
Mhm.
obviously we don't know how time works in this, I guess, in this universe really, but it just seems like I just feel like he's done. He has to be, right?
There's well, I mean, he's literally like surrounded by Titans. Levi's like already on his way to his neck. Um, and Eren, once he swallows the Warhammer Titan, it's like, dude, this homie's gonna get torn apart. It's like, you know
Mhm.
that meme of that dude, it's all over the internet. And this is the it's like, and people make renditions of it, but it's like that one white girl and then those like just yeah, yes. I didn't want to describe it fully, but I'm glad you know. But dude, that's what this homie's like at this point. He
Yep.
has no chance. He has no
Nope.
chance here.
Absolutely. No shot. No shot at
Yeah.
all. Oh man. So should
Um,
we get the theories on what's happening next?
dude, yes, my man. You already know. Let me hear it.
Hmm. You want mine first, huh?
Yeah. Yeah,
All
dude.
right. Let's do this. What do I think's gonna I think Pike's gonna show up for sure. Uh I think Zeke will eventually show up like later on in the episode, but I think Pike will be the first to show up. I'm really curious to see where Falco and Reiner are, like if they're safe. And I'm wondering if Reiner's even gonna want to like fight. Cause I feel like he's lost all like will to do so. And I just feel like he just has nothing left to fight for. But at the same time, like him seeing all of this happen and him seeing Eren like might create a spark in him to maybe try and do this one last time. But I think we're gonna get a massive battle between the scouts and the Marlians. But yeah, I'm low key hoping for that Armin theory to come true too, because I'm really wondering where he's at too. What about you?
I like a lots of parts of your theory. And I think that you're gonna be right as far as, we're gonna see Pike in the cart titan form. We're gonna see Zeke at some point. I'm really curious to see what Reiner's about. Dude, but I think, number one, I think there's two outcomes for Reiner. Either he literally like shuts down as the armor titan, like sees that the scouts are here, and he's like, dude, I really don't want to have anything to do with this. I'm still like, I'm a monster type of thing. Or he like rallies,
Hmm.
seeing that there's innocent people dying and stuff like that. He might just say, dude, I'm a monster, but this is the one way I can redeem myself. That's the only thing I could see happening.
Hmm.
um and I think that makes it better for the story. I would And then I would really like to see Eren swallow the Hammer Titan, but I kind of don't want to at the same time because of how long they've been like hyping this thing up for. Or maybe
Yeah.
it's not the Warhammer Titan that they've been hyping up, but the image and the status and the power of the family itself.
Are you talking about the
Um,
Tiber family?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Which I mean, it's probably fair because we've learned a lot of good information uh,
Hmm.
about the world through them. So I, I'm not really sure, dude. I know that we're also going to see kind of the fuller execution of this plan come through.
Yeah.
Um, but dude, I think it's a guarantee that we're going to get a lot more juicy action. I can't wait to see more of the scouts like get involved, and I really want to see them start using more swords. It's sick to see
Yeah.
and also I think that it's going to be inevitable because they've been fighting with humans this whole time, which they need guns and like the kind of the grenades and the explosives for. But now that it's going to be kind of like more titans, it'll be different, dude. And
Mhm.
also, we totally missed out on this point. um so the commander, funnily enough, escapes from the other grenade, but this time he has a scratch on his head that's bleeding, so it's looking pretty serious. And and also he's like, there's ships coming in, and there's going to be a whole bunch of more like support here
Yeah.
too, which I think I think it might kind of play a factor in some sort of way. Or we might even see, dude, it'd be super crazy. This is a wish list thing. I don't think it's going to come true, but if Armin is in the water or like on the
Oh,
outskirts to like destroy any support coming in. That would
That'd
be
be
sick.
that would be awesome. Oh my gosh. That also like that's why I kind of have that Armin theory of him just like nuking everything because they're literally being surrounded by everyone and there's like no escape. So maybe
Yeah,
like
so like just blow a hole through so they can get out.
or like what if they like rode or Armin out? Like Armin just turns into the colossal titan,
Oh
everyone hops
snap!
on and they're out. That'd be pretty
Yeah,
cool.
and
And
it's
it's
like
like
nobody could touch him because he's
and
the
like he
colossal
just
titan.
literally walks to Paradise because he's so big.
Dude, that'd be crazy, man. But any regardless of whatever we think, there's a guarantee that it's going to be a crazy episode 6 of Attack on Titan. And if I were you guys, I mean, I would rewatch this episode, re-listen to this, and re-listen to a few other of our reviews, because I think you're going to need a full head of steam going into this, because there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of information, and a lot of cool interaction between Eren and the scouts and Levi that we're going to be seeing coming up this next episode. Man, I'm excited for it.
Me too. Yeah. Thanks again for having me on too. I love doing this with you and you guys. But yeah, this episode was crazy, and I'm just excited to be on this ride with you, man.
Dude, I'm hyped for it too, bro. It's really cool to, share the journey with somebody. So anyway, man, thank you for hopping on this episode, this podcast. And thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode this coming week. Peace.
Thank you.